Let me give you a tour of Gutenberg as it is in early May 2018. And you'll note it's a plugin, okay? Now, when Gutenberg finally gets released, it's going to be stitched into core, so it's not going to be a plugin. It's going to completely replace the WP editor, or also known as the Tiny MCE editor. And you won't see that anymore. What you're going to do is see the Gutenberg editor, which I'm going to show you in a second. Notice all the other plugins I'm using on this site are deactivated because I just wanted to show you what is Gutenberg without any other plugins. And here we go. So Gutenberg, now when you install Gutenberg as a plugin, and oh, by the way, just do this on a practice site. Don't do this on a live site or an important site. Gutenberg is still beta. It's experimental. It's really not ready for a production server, a live site, so just learn it as a plugin on a site that you set up for testing purposes. So I'm going to go over here to demo, and this is what it looks like. And it's, you can see it's really clean, sleek, you know, a lot of stuff is gone. And as it turns out, Gutenberg is very contextual. Things will only pop up when you need to use them and see them. So that's kind of nice. So right over here is the page title. Okay, and if I start scrolling down here, you can see an image with some text over it. They call that a cover image. And here's a paragraph. Now, on any one of these content pieces, like if I just click on that, you'll see a couple of things happen. One is you get a line that goes all the way around there. That's a block, also called a Guten block. What a surprise. And this toolbar popped up over here, which gives me the options of what I want to do. Like if I wanted to center the text, if I wanted to, bold something, italicize something, add a link. These things should be a little familiar because they are already being used in the current editor that everybody's familiar with. This isn't really familiar right here, so if I click down here, you can see I can change the nature of this block into a list or a quote or other kinds of things. So that's kind of nice. And here's another text block over here. This looks like a quotation over here somewhere. Well, that's not really a quotation. It's just, okay. And you can see this is a heading. So if I just click on this block, you see I have different options. This tool bar is totally different than the one we saw for the paragraph. And if I wanted to change the heading, fine. If I wanted to transform this, let's say I wanted to change this into a paragraph, I could just click on that and bingo, it would be a paragraph. And I'm going to scroll down a little more. And you can see images. And I'll talk about the inserter tool in just one second. And here's an example of a list and so forth. So this is kind of nice, and you should read through it. This looks like a gallery, which is what this is. Okay, and widescreen image, all kinds of nice stuff. They really try to pay attention to a visual process of creating pages and posts. Now, the other thing that they're trying to do with Gutenberg is give you a more of a what you see is what you get experience, which is something that everybody's complained about for WordPress for years. You make a page and it doesn't look anything like it's supposed to look like when you see it on the website. So let me give you what this looks like. Now, I'm currently using the 2017 stock theme, and let's take a look at how this is going to look. So right over here, preview, and okay, it sort of looks like what we had, pretty much actually, when you think about it. Yep, quite a bit. So it's not a perfect what you see is what you get editor, obviously, because we didn't have the header, the image, we didn't have the navigation, we didn't have the sidebar. But the major content of the page, it looks pretty close to what you're going to get. But just keep in mind that what you see is what you get is still not really realized. It's more of a dream, yet not the reality that everybody wants to see. I think that's coming down the road. Okay, a couple of little things as I do the tour. One is, if you wanted to insert content, like right over here, let's say you just click on this, and there's this little thing over here called the inserter. So if I want to create a new paragraph, I just click on that over there, and I can just start typing over here. I'm just going to put in some garbage content over there, and I have myself a new paragraph. Now, if I didn't like any of that, I can just use my backspace key over here that I'm doing over here, and I'm going to hit one backspace one more time, and I just removed the block altogether. So that inserter is going to be a big part of how you're going to do things. Here's another way to add an inserter. So you see the cursor's at the end of this particular block, and if I hit the Enter key, or the return key, I guess, I automatically get, just by using my keyboard, a whole new block to work with. And from here, I have all the different blocks that are available to me to insert into this area. Okay, now Gutenberg is making suggestions of what kinds of blocks I might want to use here. If I want to see all the blocks that are available, I can just click on this and you can see you got a paragraph and you can insert it. Image, heading, gallery, list, quotes, on and on, audio, code if you want to like do some code. Now I'm not talking about, when I say code, it's like if you wanted to present code for people to see on your site. And you've got some others over here. You can see this, yeah, it's experimental. They're ready to let you play with it, but it's really not quite ready. Here's a click on like read more link. That's what that is. So all these different elements that you would have on a page are going to be part of a block. And over time, there are going to be more blocks. People are going to create plugins that are going to add blocks. But what I wanted you to just get a feeling for is what are the blocks right now that are native to Gutenberg without adding any plugins that would extend or add more blocks. And embeds, this is an easy way to add videos, short codes, all kinds of stuff into your pages. And the last one here, which I'm not going to do right at this moment, but let you know that you can take a block, save it, and then use it again on another page. So that could be very handy for content that has to be repeated from page to page. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of that by just clicking out of there. Notice over here too, this is really great. You have a do and an undo, a redo, undo. So if you just click on that, if you make a mistake, you can always go back. That's really good. Now, on the upper right-hand corner, this looks familiar. In fact, you don't even have to save as draft anymore. It'll automatically do that for you now. It's really fancy, so you don't necessarily have to click on Save Draft anymore. You just saw it just saved. And Preview, you know about that, and Publish, you know about that. But what about this over here? Okay, so this opens up a right sidebar, which looks a little familiar because we had right sidebar with the current editor. But what's different is it has two major options, document and block. So for the document, you're going to just have things that you can, well, this looks familiar too, like the publishing, the status and visibility, whether it's published, what date you want to publish it, and you can scroll down over here and see other kinds of things that look familiar, like you want to add categories and tags. Boy, that does look familiar. And if you want other things that you can do over here. And when they say document, what we're talking about is stuff that's going to affect the entire page, okay? And block, now this is a little bit interesting. And it says, well, no block is selected. So let's select a block and see what that means. So I'm just going to choose this one over here. Oops. Did you notice over here, I accidentally clicked on, but that's okay, this little area over here, which gave us the permalink. And this should look familiar too if you wanted to change the words and the link. Let's say for SEO purposes or for whatever reason, you can still do that like you did with the current editor. So I'm just going to pick a paragraph block because when you do that, you can see, whoa, there's a lot of options here. So for example, if you wanted the text to be larger for this particular block, whoa, you can now do that real easily, okay? If you wanted it to be, well, they have text sizes over here. They have all kinds of ways to size text. If you wanted to, I'm going to bring that down a little bit. It's a little bit too big. But if you wanted to add a drop cap, a lot of people like that effect, so that's now built into the paragraph block option. I don't really want it. If you wanted to do this, watch this. If I wanted to add a background color to a block for a text block like this, easy to do. Just add a background color. Very nice. Let's say I don't want one, so I'm going to do that over here. And I want to, let's say, change the text color. So you now see that there's, well, lots of options here with respect to handling text properties that we didn't have before, and alignment and so forth. If I wanted to align everything to the, there you go, to the right, I could do that. So I just wanted to give you some idea of the kinds of things that you're going to see with Gutenberg. The key thing is this. It's a much cleaner interface. Things are only going to pop up when you need them, so you're not going to see, let's say, if you're working with an image, let's just do this. Notice that the whole block options just changed with image. That's what you would expect. And that if you wanted to change the wording that goes over the image, because this is a cover image, when I clicked on the wording, you can just change the wording. So it's different, that's for sure. Again, it's not perfect. Let me just give you one other thing before we leave. These blocks are going to be drag and droppable. But right now, that doesn't really work all that well. So they have these little handlebars over here. So if you wanted to move it down one space, you just click on the down arrow. And you could just click on that again. Let's see if I can. See? Well, yeah. And if you don't really, if you wanted to undo, again, you just go over here to the undo button and you can do that. Now, what about drag and drop? Well, temperamental at this point. It's still being worked on. Okay, so if I move it, look at this. Let's just move it over here. Does that work? Yeah, it worked. Okay. And one last thing, there's always something else to show you. But see this toolbar over here? I don't like it because it covers up the words over here. So you can dock the toolbar. And the way to do that, you have some options over here. And I'm just going to do fix toolbar to the top. So that's great. So now it's out of the way. So whatever block I click on, the toolbar is over here. I think this is a really good idea if you like that, work that kind of way. I don't like things that cover up other things, personally. Okay, so that's good for now. That's the tour of the Gutenberg system. The next thing I want to do in the next video is to show you how to create a page from scratch using Gutenberg. And I'll show you some more options when I do that.